Okay, let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Business and Higher Education Pathways Student Information Session. Tonight's a little bit different and a little bit special in that we've got a special guest with us tonight, Daniel Cairns from Ducere. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you kindly, James. It's my pleasure to be here and welcome everyone. Good on you for investing in yourselves by attending first and foremost.
Excellent. Now, amongst our subject matter experts and panellists tonight, we have Daniel, of course, founder of Mentor Education, Dr. Mark Sinclair, and Chief Academic and Executive Officer, Iona McKimmie. Mark and Iona, welcome.
Thanks, James. It's great to be here. I'm really looking forward to talking to our attendees today about their opportunities for pathways, especially with a number of these courses.
Likewise, James. Thanks. Looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Okay, so for those who are tuning in tonight, if you have any questions throughout, please feel free to use the chat function, put them to myself, and I'll put them to our subject matter experts for you throughout tonight's presentation. And there will, of course, be room and time at the end for you to ask questions as well. So if there's anything we don't answer or cover for you, please feel free to wait to the end, or of course, contact us directly and head on over to the website at mentor.edu.au. So let's get started and provide a little bit of background on Mentor and Ducere. Let's start off with Mentor. Mark, I'll hand on over to you to provide a little bit of background on Mentor Education and where it sits in the scheme of things, and perhaps a little bit of history about
it. Thanks, James. Look, Mentor Education started in 2003 with a real view to focus on distance and online learning, real focus on quality of course material and student support. I came across from KPMG and AT Kearney doing management consulting predominantly. Did my doctorate in e-commerce, but before that I was teaching at RMIT to the MBA program. So I've got a real passion for pathways to the Masters of Business Administration.
Excellent, and that's exactly one of the courses that we'll be talking about tonight. So very pertinent. And Daniel, if you could provide us a little bit of background on Ducere.
Yes, certainly. We were founded first and foremost as a philanthropic entity, a foundation actually in Africa. Our founder, Matthew Jacobson, was travelling and looking at the local education systems there, realising that there was no resources in many of the schools. He, from a privileged position, sent some books thinking he would make a difference. And what was born of that was through a failure. Western cultured books and African children, we learnt, are too far apart. He actually started printing and publishing the children's own stories. That was the catalyst to look at education here, and in a similar vein to Mentor, ask what can be done better and more industry aligned. And therefore we harness the power of storytelling in our education programs through having over 250 of the world's most inspiring global leaders donate their time to be filmed, and now partner with universities globally. And in any partnership, we design the content with industry engagement. Our university partners accredit that content that we'll talk about tonight. And then it's Ducere that provide that ongoing student support and experience in a very similar vein to Mentor's customer commitment as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So let's have a bit of a, I suppose, helicopter view on what a higher education pathway might look like. What may initially start as a certificate or diploma with Mentor Education can then move into perhaps a bachelor or master's level qualification, more specifically say an MBA with Ducere. Iona, I'm going to hand on over to you to talk to us a little bit about some of Mentor Education's business diplomas and some of the streams that it tackles, and what some of the advantages of, I suppose, starting off with a business diploma pathway might be for students, and then I suppose finally what sort of students it may actually apply to.
Okay, so thank you, James. We have a number of students that choose to follow a pathway option for entry into higher education. And they come from a variety of backgrounds, and they always have a variety of different educational levels that they may have studied at. So a pathway is often ideal for a number of students. People that sort of enter the business courses pathway may start at a Certificate 3, a Certificate 4, or a Diploma of Business level, depending on the stream that they've chosen to study. They might also come into the pathway via the Diploma of Project Management as well. And we tend to find that students that enter pathways at the lower levels develop great academic skills, that they develop good study habits. But not only that, they also are able to complete a certain number of credits toward their higher education choices as far as their studies are concerned as well. And that, of course, differs between different course streams. So there's a lot of value add for any student who chooses to study via a pathway through to a higher education offering. And we find that the linkages between the mentor business courses at diploma and advanced diploma levels support students to effectively transition into that higher education space and into that master's space. Now, obviously, depending on the number of years of work experience, for example, or the other entry requirements for courses, and that again is dependent on the actual pathway that the student chooses. Will also have an impact on the student's decisions on where they choose to actually enter this pathway. So the pathway options that are available from Mentor to Ducere not only provide those opportunities too, but they also provide an opportunity to continue for students to continue their study in a similar study environment. So often students choose online study for a variety of reasons, and they choose supported online study, so with the inclusion of live tutorials, for example, instead of attending a classroom. And they do that for their own reasons and for convenience. And we find that because we have a harmonised delivery model across this pathway, we tend to find that students actually find that transition from vocational education and training and into the higher education levels much, much easier.
Excellent, thank you very much. Now, Daniel, if you could talk to us about some of the, I suppose, higher education options that are available for you, through Ducere, which would form part of a pathway, bearing in mind that we'll do a bit of a deep dive into the MBA throughout today's session, and then close off certainly with the international study option with the Wales University as well. But yeah, just to start off, if you could talk to us about some of the higher ed options, that'd be great.
Certainly, and I'm pleased to later on announce a new MBA that is on offer as well, following our graduate certificate in data and cybersecurity. But we only touched on something that was really, really pertinent then. A shared learning style and delivery method, it complemented with the way in which we approach higher education. We always consult with industry whenever designing a program, and industry have repeatedly told us that they're disappointed, to be honest, that education is too fast falling behind the pace of change. Now, previously that was from a technological perspective, but now given COVID, it is even more relevant that education better aligns with industry's requirements, demands and changes. So our solution to that is to eliminate exams. We think they're the most complete, not a waste of time you could ever do in a business course, as Mentor do as well. And they're completely unproductive. So instead, we empower students in every one of our programs to choose the topics of their assignments, to apply the learning directly to what is not only more relevant for industry looking forward, more so than backwards of what happened in the past, and also what's relevant for them and their individual circumstances, giving a student more enjoyment of their studies because it's more relevant, as they've experienced in their diploma level studies, for example, and a greater return on their educational investment because it is productive in its outcome. So that extends across our bachelor degree programs. We have 3 applied business degrees that we partner with Torrens University Australia on, which is Australia's fastest growing university. They're applied business management, applied business marketing, and applied entrepreneurship, where people will actually build a business whilst they go through their study. So everything that they're applying their learning to is designed to get their business up off the ground. We also then have our master's programs, one with Torrens, which is an amazing MBA. Our MBA in Innovation and Leadership was designed with exactly that title and that speciality, because again, industry said, regardless of the future of business, the 2 constants that will remain is the need to innovate and the need for strong leadership. The difference with the MBA that we'll go into shortly, in addition to having no exams, is the application of learning through real high-level and strategic projects with industry. Lastly, our overseas programs in a University of Wales in particular, and now a new partnership with University of New England offering a graduate certificate in data and cyber management, and now an MBA to complement that in data and cyber management, which is an amazing opportunity looking at the future of work for not only technically minded people to step up into management, but also managers to tackle the new skills that are required in the future of business as well.
Excellent, thank you very much. Now, Mark, talking from your experience, I mean, I understand that you lectured an MBA program at RMIT here in Melbourne. I mean, what are some of the benefits and outcomes that students can expect from pursuing higher education, you know, I suppose, at this particular level?
Well, look, an MBA requires you to have experience, some management experience along the lines, and it's really an opportunity for application of the knowledge and skills that you learn during the MBA to your current workplace, your current entrepreneurial endeavour, business you might be starting up and the like. So everyone who undertakes an MBA usually has an objective and a education career pathway that they're pursuing. And so the real important feature is that they gain practical knowledge that they can apply back into their context. So really that means critical thinking, it means working in teams, it means practical application and case studies and things of that nature. So the one thing that I would say is that, you know, if you're a student, you want to time it in such a way that whatever unit or subject that you're undertaking, you're considering its application within your work context, and you're really developing your skills and knowledge along those lines so that you get what I always think of as killing two birds with one stone. Sure, you're getting a qualification, sure, you're getting knowledge and skills, but really what you want, the additional thing that you're trying to really do is add real value to your workplace or your business or your enterprise or the like. And if you approach it from that perspective, then you're going to get a lot out of it, bigger bang for your buck.
Excellent, thank you very much. Now, there's quite a suite of higher education options available to students, but tonight we've decided to do a bit of a deep dive on the MBA focusing on innovation and leadership. And Daniel, I'll hand on over to you to take us through this, I suppose, specific MBA and talk to the points that we've got up there in front of us about its professional industry recognition, and then perhaps some of the benefits of this particular course.
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, in our partnership with Torrens University, we're really, really proud to bring and have successful outcomes already for MBA candidates through this innovative program. And the key point is innovation in this space as well. To give you one practical example of how it's structured and the benefit of application of learning, as Mark mentioned, is so important when someone's either trying to validate their experience, progress their careers, implement learning within their business for the true return on investment that an MBA should provide. It's important that the subject matter is real, is forward-thinking, and also relevant to what is happening in this industry now. So when we designed the program, the idea of working on real projects with industry came about, and it's very different because the students undertake 3 projects. Project number 1, in a team of about 10 group of peers, they're classified as a learner within the team. There'll be 2 or 3 learners. Project number 2, they're a manager. There'll be 2 or 3 managers, and project 3, they're a leader. So they go through that process throughout the MBA of learner to manager to leader, regardless of their background. It might be someone that's never studied at university before. It could be a CEO. Regardless, they start from learner to manager to leader to lead their own project in the future. And the projects are groundbreaking. We scour the earth, to be honest, and truly globally focused projects, whether they be large corporates, whether they be not-for-profit, for-purpose style projects, and even federal government departments that we've worked with have been recipients of students working on the strategic project that they set. A really good example of that quite recently was one with 20th Century Fox, who were at the time merging with Disney in what you can imagine is a huge global corporate merger. But 20th Century Fox Australia engaged us to work with a student team on the premise of research in the world's best practices regarding culture integrations. And based on that research, the students presented to 20th Century a suite of recommendations around how they could best prepare their staff to integrate successfully into the Disney culture. And most pleasingly for the students' work and demonstration of their commitment, 20th Century implemented 11 of the 12 recommendations almost immediately. To take that one step further, and how is that applicable, I guess, in a student context. So one of the students in that course was applying thereafter for a senior promotion within a consultancy firm. And the throwaway line or the question within the interview was, I understand you did your MBA recently, how was that? Traditionally, he could have said, I met some amazing people and I got 90% on my exam, and it would be sort of on to the next question. He was able to answer that question by saying, it was amazing. I got to meet some great people, and I actually worked on the culture integration of 20th Century Fox and Disney. And the interviewer stopped and said, what? The next 20 minutes was taken up of that interview of him explaining the 3 different projects that he got to complete as an MBA candidate in this unique offering. So it is unique in that regard. It overcomes the fear of the lack of networking in an online context through a deep involvement of peers around the world, often on solving real problems for industry. And then applying the learning back to your own circumstances, as Mark mentioned, the importance of that as well. And really pleasingly, given the onset of COVID recently, we were inspired by one of our candidates who was a physiotherapist in Perth, and realised that if they all went into lockdown very quickly and no one could visit her practice, that she didn't have a business. She pivoted through the application of learning in her entrepreneurship unit. She pivoted her business almost quicker than I saw anyone do it with the onset of COVID to deliver online work from home ergonomic assessments, and has just taken off, as you can imagine. She saw the demand, she saw the offering that she could provide, and provide a solution to that challenge. Immediately picked up, I think it was Rio Tinto as a client, and has really never looked back. So changing times create opportunity, but the application of learning to what's relevant is the most important thing as well. And then it's that real world networking as well. We have an amazing cohort of both alumni and current students that, as I mentioned, the opportunity to transfer of skill from peer to peer in that learner, manager, leader model, but also networking for your own benefit professionally as well, opens up great opportunities in the future.
Excellent, thank you very much. Now, Iona, in your experience, you've seen some real benefits come out of the strong industry alignment with education. I mean, talk to us about, I suppose, a little bit about that, and I think, probably iterating on what David said about why it is so important these days.
I think one of the things that has really come out of the global situation in the last 9 months, and even before then, where we started thinking about the changing world of work and the requirements, sort of for the way work has changed and the way we go about work has changed. And one of the things that I know that we have very, very much responded to is the working environment for our students as graduates. We know that because of the way we work has changed. We know that, as Daniel's just highlighted, that ability to network globally, for example, and in real time, and collaboration in particular. The use of technology to actually do that, and business analysis and data, and the use of data analysis tools, for example. These are all elements of our working life that students are now starting to expect us to provide to them embedded in our course delivery. So to enable a student to actually effectively move through a pathway, we need to actually introduce that across the student's learning journey and support students to develop those skills and those knowledge for consistency and for relevance. As we all know, there is nothing worse than studying for 3, 4, 5 years and finding out when we've finished our course that it is no longer relevant at all. So one of the great things about the linkage with Mentor and Ducere is that that recognition of those things being relevant, and those things being relevant to students as their careers progress, and irregardless of which phase of their working life they're in, and whether this is their first, second, third, maybe even fourth career that they've moved through over their working life. So I think it's fair to say that one of the things that we do need to consider in any pathway and support students to do is to be able to move through each level and to be able to move out into their chosen career or their inspired or and aspiring career, to be able to be effective, not just for themselves, but also for the industry, and add value to the industry and the industry sector that they're going to graduate into working in. So, in particular, the innovation and leadership masters that we're talking about tonight actually support students to be able to do that, because they are actually learning in a hands-on way, and it's very, very relevant to what they'll do every day as they move out and begin their working life.
Excellent, thank you, Ina. Now, Daniel, I'm going to shoot back to you to talk to us about, I suppose, the nuts and bolts of the course. I mean, what are the entrance requirements? I mean, what is it that students need to do, obviously, to qualify to gain a position in what's really and truly an exciting MBA program? I understand you've got a couple of close of application dates coming up, and how often do they run? So if you could let us know that, that'd be great. How long do students usually take to finish the course? And then finally, what payment options are available to them?
Fantastic. And thank you. And also it's important, I think, that it can be a really daunting life decision to undertake an MBA. And it's not uncommon that students join us either without having studied at university level before, but have a great deal of a life and business experience behind them. And there's three things that they overcome when making that decision. The first is the sense of self-satisfaction and pride achieved when often overcoming that fear of the unknown. It's a big decision, and one that's very, very rewarding, but one that many people put off. So to make that decision to commit to oneself, regardless of the course, I guess, but especially if it's at a master's level, is a very rewarding thing. Secondly, they report the inspiration and relevance of the content. And lastly, the need often for the support to learn the new skill of writing academically, which we certainly front end that support to assist students with as well. So the entry requirements are varied, and we do take professional experience, or the university does take professional experience into account when assessing an application. And there's different modes of application, be that academic, if you've had a bachelor degree previously coupled with some management or supervisory experience, you meet the 3 years of that, you certainly meet the criteria. As Mark said, the true return on investment comes when not necessarily, say, a school leaver into a bachelor degree straight into an MBA, I probably wouldn't recommend. It's more to solidify that and leverage that experience gained in the workplace as well. Failing that, if someone doesn't have a bachelor degree, they'll certainly take into account other levels of study, such as a diploma and 8 years of professional experience or 10 years of professional experience to be assessed at a professional history only in that sense. We have 3 intakes a year, so our study calendar goes over 12 months, so people can finish the program sooner. It's not like we take 6 months off for holidays. If people want to get it done, they can. The time commitment is varied because there is the opportunity of either accelerating the program through currently 15 months and soon to be a little bit shorter than that because we do have a bit of a break in between trimesters, or stretching it out as part-time. So full-time would look like 4 units per trimester, which is 3 units and the industry project, overarching that whole 4-month trimester, and about that 25 hours per week, which is a big commitment. However, if you bear in mind that when applying the learning to your role, as all of our students are basically working, a lot of their study time is actually productive with them strategically working on the role at the same time. So some of their study time is actually productive with their work. And there's a great example of that with Leon Kennedy, who's the general manager of Proud Mary Coffee in Melbourne. He started an MBA with another provider, came across to this one. He extrapolated out his people and culture assignment to become the 8,000 word HR Bible for Proud Mary, scaled that back to the 3,500 word submission for academic assessment, but kept that 8,000 word piece as the implementation plan for the strategy around his HR and culture for that organisation. So that's certainly achievable. Failing, or if that's too much workload for someone, 2 units per term, per trimester is the minimum. And that's that 10 to 14 hours a week, thereabouts as well. It's fully supported by Fee Help, which for people that aren't aware is almost exactly the same as HECS, a little different in that there's the potential of potentially claiming the fee help, but basically the repayment rates and are exactly the same as HECS on a scale of your earnings through the tax system. Fee help is postgraduate and VET, as HECS is obviously the undergraduate payment system from the government as well. 12 units in all. Really nicely broken up to reward the learning journey along the way and implement the learnings through the projects, through the assignments, no exams, into your workplace. There was something else you mentioned, the dates of application. There is an intake starting imminently. Our last intake for the year commences on the 28th of September. That being said, there is a little bit of a better 1 week's grace period for people wanting to get their applications in. As Torrens, the first week is orientation week, so we structure all the academic webinars. All those sorts of things are structured for the first week, getting to know the learning management system and getting through that process within the first week, meeting your peer group, meeting the academics and the support staff that is on offer. So, it starts on the 28th. Applications would like to have in by the 28th. If there's a couple of days grace after that, then we can certainly accommodate.
Fantastic. And look, just for those who are tuning in, they may not have heard the term learning management system before. That's just really our online portal to access the course, isn't it, Daniel?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it like mentors programs, it opens up the opportunity, I think, that people don't realise always the benefit, especially at diploma and undergraduate level, of combining work and study. Certainly the MBA, you access the content, be that on your phone, be that at your desktop, wherever you're connected, you can access the content. 80% of it actually can be done on the phone. It's the presentations, the Word documents, the assignments and all that sort of thing you'd like to do on your desktop, all through the learning management system. It's so easy to navigate. It makes studying very, very easy. But getting onto that point about combining work and study, especially at that undergraduate and diploma level, the first thing when job seekers are being interviewed, always one of the first questions is, what sort of experience do you have? And I believe that any experience is good experience, especially if you think of a traditional university student going to work in hospitality or McDonald's or whatever, retail, whatever it might be, around the hours that accommodate university. They're limited in what they can apply to do. And that's not necessarily the worst thing. As long as they're doing some form of work, I think it's a positive. However, studying online, you choose, uni fits in with you, not you fit in with university. So that opens up a whole different realm of employment opportunities. And even if it is at undergraduate level on a reception desk in a business, you're exposed to the business environment. So therefore, when you go for your dream job and you're asked what sort of experience do you have, you're one step ahead of many, many of the other applicants for that role through having relevant experience to what you're studying as well. Excellent.
Now, look, you make a really valid point there. And look, it sort of brings me on to my next question, just about entrance into the course itself. And Iona also mentioned it earlier on. I mean, we might have career changes, people in their second, third career. There's a good chance that some of the candidates may already have postgraduate qualifications, perhaps a graduate certificate or a graduate diploma. How does that work with respect to entrance into the course?
Basically direct entry. If you've completed postgraduate studies, you get straight in, and it's not uncommon. And it's such a diverse student cohort. As I said, there's people that have PhDs that are actually doing a master's in business now to complement their medical background or whatever it may be. There's students that haven't studied, right through to students that haven't studied formally at university before but have a great deal of experience. I think the one thing that every one of our students has in common, though, is that they're all questioning and do question the relevance of education to them. And that's the most important thing, is that return on educational investment. It's a life decision, don't get me wrong. There's commitment, there's sacrifice to be made in terms of, I can't go out having drinks with the girls tonight or whatever it might be because I've got an assignment due tomorrow. There is sacrifices to be made to invest in yourself, but that investment needs to provide the greatest return it can. And through this program, in partnership that we have with Mentor, there's no greater ROI for an MBA when it's so applied in its nature.
Excellent. Now, stick with me because what we've got up here in front of us is the course outline, and we can see that it's broken up into 3 stages. And you talked a little bit about the industry projects earlier on. If you just quickly take us through a bit of, I suppose, the subjects that we've got up there in front of us, why they were chosen, and then perhaps, Mark, I could get you to jump in afterwards and talk to, I suppose, why you think, certainly from your opinion, they're particularly relevant today and how they're aligning with what's going on in the greater business environment. But first and foremost, over to you, Daniel.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you once again. And we put a great deal of not only strategy, but also industry input into the design of the program, as I mentioned earlier, and provide that solution around the disconnect between industry and academia. So that it's a very strategic program and very strategically designed, even to the point where there's no electives in this particular MBA because you're already empowered to apply the learning to your own circumstances. So ethics and decision making is a fantastic unit. The delivery of every one of the units is also complemented by industry-based academics. And that's really important, like Mark was when he was delivering programs through at the MBA there. It's important that the academic delivery is from someone with real world experience as well. So people and culture management is really, really important in a changing world in which we're in, applying the learning to this now. I mean, this is the way in which we work now as well. So that comes with real changes. So, and even social movements and things that influence workplace culture change all the time. We've seen so much change in the last 12 months in that. Finance for managers is a really, really important unit. Then there's obviously industry project number 1 that overarches the learnings from those 3 units. And as I said, the candidate can choose, be that a not-for-profit for purpose, be that a government department, or even a large commercial entity or corporate. Marketing, communications, business strategy, project management, and digital operations. Again, a very, very important skill that any employee and leader needs today, because it's so important within industry that we work to provide solutions to challenges that we face, both collaboratively in a team environment, through management of projects, and understanding how we can best enhance changing digital operations within a business as well. Then obviously industry project 2. Then we move into the leadership, and it changed a little bit there. There's innovation as well, innovation and leadership in practice. And the innovation and entrepreneurial aspect of that unit is brilliant. Not only is it, when we hear the word entrepreneurship, we think of small business startups, but it's actually those that are now sought after by business and in executive roles. There's even head of entrepreneurship internally within organisations these days, because we are more and more questioning what we do and how it can be done better. And that entrepreneurial skill and spirit is essential in any leader today as well. Big data is really, really important in business now. Big data for managers, not only how to obtain the quality and the quantity of data required and the quality thereof, but then how it impacts change and process within an organisation. And then the capstone, industry project 3, you're a leader. You lead the project team. So it means that you provide not only the support to the learners potentially doing their first project within the MBA, but you will also liaise, set the communication strategy and liaise with the industry partner. Now that could be the CEO of a not-for-profit. It could be a partner within a consultancy firm. It could be a governmental agency and director of. And then obviously at each project, the students present their findings to that industry partner in a real sense, be that physically if it's within reach, if we're not all out of lockdown, if we are out of lockdown, or virtually exactly the same as this. And it's been great to see all over the world students presenting their findings to industry in a virtual sense more recently.
Excellent, thank you very much. Now over to you, Mark, to talk to us a little bit about, I suppose, the subjects we've got up there in front of us and its alignment with the current business environment.
Look, one of the things that I find most exciting about studying like this is it's being part of a high-performing team. We don't always get that in our workplace. We're excited if we do. The opportunity to work on really top-tier projects with really capable people in real-life situations is that you actually are performing in within a high-performing team. And that's something that we don't very often experience, and the opportunity to transfer that culture, that experience back into your own business or your workplace is a real opportunity, because once you've had that benchmark set, you know what it is, and you're always striving to replicate it back in your own environment. I like the 3 stages here. You're going from a real business project to solving complex problems, and then you're overlaying it with some real skills in terms of big data and leadership. So that really is a nice progression that is provided in the course. Also in stage one, you're getting the basics, the lens that you look at any particular problem, which is the ethics and decision-making overlay, culture and people and finance are really three lenses to look at particular problems that are important. I like stage two in that, you're looking at now business strategy. So you're taking it to the next level. You're looking at the marketing and comms and the project management so as to actually achieve those outcomes. And then finally, this notion of big data and leadership is the refinement of those skills that you want to take away and apply in the workplace. So a nicely structured program, and what of course you're doing there from stage one to stage two to stage three is you're overlaying skill levels, as they develop. And of course we do that in Mentor 2 at the courses that you can use to pathway into the MBA, because education is not just a quick step on a journey. It's actually something you do through your lifetime. It's like climbing a mountain. You've got an objective right at the top, which can be quite a long way away, but there are a number of base camps along the way, milestones that you want to achieve, and you do it with your current role. You do it with a series of programs beforehand that can pathway in up to the MBA, which I see as a pinnacle qualification. By all means, it's just the beginning of the next journey, but it does give you a really great foundation, a great peer network, and something that I certainly got a lot of benefit from, and something that it's good for all of us to aspire to.
Fantastic. Now, I understand you've got to head off, but quickly before you go, if you could just talk to some of Mentor Education's, I suppose, their Diploma of Business and School of Business courses, and how they can be instrumental in setting students up for taking on this next level and tackling, I suppose, the subjects that we've got up there in front of us.
Okay. The business courses, or a number of the business stream offerings that Mentor Education, excuse me, I'm sorry. A number of the business course streams that Mentor Education offers actually are structured in a very, very similar way to the course that we're showcasing here today. So students actually begin at a certain level learning about themselves and their career aspirations, academic skills, writing skills, for example, presentation skills, and different types of planning, different types of experiences. And we work with students in our business courses utilizing a number of different types of simulations, so students actually get to practice what they would actually be doing out there in their working world, and developing the familiarity of using reporting tools and different types of planning tools, for example. And so the courses are structured in such a way that the student comes into the course, and then over time, over the duration of the course, they actually develop their knowledge and true skill, and so they're able to actually apply that in their day-to-day work. But they're also able to take that knowledge and skill that they've developed in the diploma level courses onto the next level of their education, so into higher education. The Advanced Diploma of Business in particular, and the Advanced Diploma of Management that Mentor offers in particular, are structured in a very, very similar way to this course that we're talking about this evening, where students actually move through a similar number of stages at that lower level. And then there is, of course, the capstone assessment, which is their business planning assessment and their business planning unit of study. So the two courses, again, align very, very much in structure, mode of delivery. And the diploma and the advanced diploma level business courses provide a great foundation for students to develop that foundational knowledge of being able to move into the higher level course and take on some of the wonderful learning opportunities and the challenges that are involved in the industry projects as well in the master's level course.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Iona. Okay, now, David, I'm going to come back, Daniel, I'm going to come back to you to talk to us a little bit about career outcomes and some of the really exciting industry partners that we have up there. Obviously, the MBA can be applied to a whole range of jobs or even set you up for a number of jobs, which we've got listed up there. So, yeah, certainly take us through those and, yeah, some of those exciting partners.
Absolutely. And I don't think there's an industry that we haven't had a candidate from, and I'll be surprised if there is. But you're right, there's many outcomes. Some people, but different motivations sometimes. Some people are doing it to progress their career. Other people are looking to do it to validate where they're at in terms of their career. And some people are looking to take their business to the next level. So there's all sorts of different motivations to undertake an MBA. And as I said before, the one thing that everyone has in common that we have as candidates that they question the relevance. So if anyone, I think also it's important to understand also the environment in which we live in now with automation and little things like, you know, an MBA as a job requirement sometimes, be that in a government role, be that in a corporate role or whatever it might be. When we submit our resume now to a recruitment firm, especially a large recruitment firm, it's often a piece of software that would read that resume first rather than being a person. To have that line of MBA in it is potentially the difference between that software ticking the box for you to be interviewed and not sometimes. But more importantly, I think it's really about eyes on the horizon rather than eyes on the ground. Looking at the horizon, understanding the career pathway in which you are on or would like to be on, and the tools in which a relevant MBA will give you to assist you achieve that. Industry partners, we work with industries all over the world to source and scale the world for the most amazing projects. And just to give you a couple of examples, pleasingly, we actually source a lot of projects now because this has been running for the best part of 7-8 years. We actually source many of our projects through our alumni, through those that have completed their MBA. We've got one coming up in the next intake, for example, with an alumni that's taking the fastest growing sport in the world to the United Arab Emirates and looking for strategies for the students to work on as to how to execute that in a market that's foreign to that industry. So another one recently actually was really interesting when we think about how actually close this is. The student team worked on a subsidiary of Uber around Melbourne being chosen as one of the 5 destinations in the world to trial the drone cabs, driverless drones. But what the project was actually about was the need to engage with existing property owners and developers about building the infrastructure that is needed in Melbourne to accommodate those driverless drones landing on their roof. And to understand the benefit that has for a developer, for example, you know, swimming pool by the day, the pad comes over of a night time, and then they've got value in that building, in it being an Uber pod for these driverless drones that'll transport people around our city in about 5 years' time. To be honest, it's quite frightening, but really forward-thinking, forward-looking, real problem-solving. But it's not always big business. You can see that in there, for those, especially those that are fond of Melbourne, there's Fonda restaurant chain, Fonda Mexican. And it's an amazing, not only success story, but has unique challenges as well, and even more so now. One of the challenges that they had was an actual underperforming chain restaurant within their chain, and it was more a suburban one than an inner city one. And what the students discovered was the clientele was completely different between their store in Paran and their store in Knox, and they needed to change their whole menu accordingly to accommodate more families. And now it's turned into one of their best performing restaurants within the chain. So that real, whilst it's small to medium enterprise, and we've worked with startups, as I said, with government agencies, that example is just a true outcome for students to understand the difference that these research topics can make to a business and the application of that change to the business to see the outcome. and then outcomes for industry where they're engaging with people undertaking an MBA and getting the rewards of them applying their learning to their challenges that they face within business on a day-to-day or strategic vision project. So it's amazing the different projects and different industry partners that we work with, and I think that results in a really, really high retention rate of over 90% of students that start this program graduate this program, and that's unheard of for an online MBA, to be honest. But we're really, really proud of it. We'll do anything that we can to nurture that, but it all starts with it being the most relevant MBA available.
Excellent. Thanks, Daniel. And look, I'm just mindful of time, and I think we're getting towards the end of, I suppose, some of the features and benefits and real advantages of this particular MBA innovation program, which is really exciting. But when it comes to the support and the delivery of the course, what could students expect when it comes to those kind of things?
Really good question, and very, very similar to Mentor's philosophy. They can expect to be treated like a customer more so than a student. There's a big difference. We're small enough and agile enough to act and provide resolution to any challenges that a student may experience. But more so than that, we deliver 6 courses in this country. We've got other courses around the world, but we're not like a university that might have a couple of hundred programs and trying to be everything to everyone. What that means is that not only is the support that they receive specialised within those 6 programs, but it's personalised. We get to know them on a personal level. We'll say happy birthday when we know it's your birthday. We'll say, how's your children going? We understand there's a challenge. It's that empathy that we show that enables students to not only understand that we've got their back during these times of not only uncertainty, but their time of sacrifice in their investment in an MBA, but we'll use that opportunity to better support them. And it's that proactive approach rather than reactive. Rather than saying you haven't handed in your assignment, why can't we look at the data and see that someone hasn't logged in for 7 days where they normally do? We'll place a personal call and just say, hey, is everything okay? You've got an assignment due in 14 days, you haven't logged on for 7, what can we do to get you back on track? Coupling with that is the academic delivery. As I said before, all of our academics are industry-based academics. So for example, one of the academics that actually takes the entrepreneurship and innovation is the head of innovation for ANZ currently. So he exercises his passion to want to inspire the next generation or other learners by bringing his workplace experience in innovation into this program. Others are employed directly by Ducere. It's not as if they're research-based university academics researching a particular topic, which is really, really important, but then it's teaching on the side. These are dedicated learners, and we're actually changing the name of our academics or their titles to human potential catalysts, and that's exactly what they are. They also take a very personal approach to their delivery. There is how a unit is structured, I guess, would be helpful for people to understand. You'd attend at the commencement of a unit, a webinar inclusive of all the students that are currently doing that unit. And the academic will give you an overview of the unit, some of the case studies that may be involved, the assignment expectations, the schedule of webinars thereafter. You then click through the modules, watch the global leaders videos, do some academic research, apply that, start framing that first assignment, and then choose the topic in which you're going to apply that assignment to. On top of that, there's webinars that go throughout the unit, but there's also the opportunity of attending one-on-one webinars with the academic should you need that. And it might be brushing up on your referencing skills or something like that, that they're there to support you one-on-one. There's a whole team also that are supported to our students and we, as I said before, our customers around anything else that they would need in terms of the technological aspect of the LMS, or even just their study plans and things like that, to make sure that they're obtaining the most from their investment and being on track to achieve their ultimate goal of graduating with their qualification, in this case, their MBA.
Thanks, Daniel. And look, Mark, I think the support and delivery frameworks that Daniel's been talking about are very closely aligned with those with Mentor Education. I understand, look, some of those ideas are, I think, quite sympathetic to the motivations that you had when it came to establishing Mentor Education in the first place as a training institution. If you could talk to us about, I suppose, some of those elements that really drove you in developing the support, and I suppose delivery frameworks that are applied at Mentor. And I'll just keep you off mute if I can.
Thanks, James. Look, there's no doubt if you take the viewpoint that, you know, throughout our working life, it's a lifelong education journey. And, you know, I like to think that life is a beautiful education. It was the way I frame it. And you want at every point, every touch point, for it to not just pathway into the next qualification, the next development of the next lot of skills and knowledge, but you want to be building your capabilities, because, you know, it's like each qualification, each course you do is like another step on that journey, and you keep developing those competencies. So they do need to cascade in to the next qualification. So, you know, a number of our students will start perhaps even at Cert 4 qualification relating to business, leadership or management, might do a diploma, might go to advanced diploma, they might go to a graduate cert, graduate diploma program, and, you know, pathway to an MBA in due course. Not everyone's ready to start at that point. A number of people are, potentially, if they've just been in business for many, many years, with a range of skills that they want to hone and develop further. But most people want a pathway into that process. And look, when I did start, I remember really very early on in my study life, I remember attending a major lecture theatre, over 100 people. The lecturer tutor arrived 10, 15 minutes late, dagging, tracking decks, unprepared. And it was really a waste of, I thought, of my experience. So look, it's many years now, but it left an indelible impression in my mind, just the notion that, you know, people want real outcomes. They want something that they can apply to the real world. They actually want an outcome, whether it's a promotion, pay increase, transfer into a different role, secure their role by developing skills. You know, they might be working in a team and want to become a team leader. They might aspire from team leader to be a manager to be an executive. Well, they might want their own business and they're looking to develop something along those lines, or they have their own business. And just like the example that Daniel gave about the physiotherapist who came up with a really, you know, simple but innovative in that time solution to how to help people work remotely in an ergonomic way in the face of actually losing her business in day-to-day patients coming to her practice. Look, you know, in hindsight, that looks like a great, simple solution, but at the onset of Daniel's story, I was thinking to myself, how did that physiotherapist solve that particular problem? And that's the challenge of actually really working with a high-performing team, other innovative, excited people that are challenging you, coming up with their own innovative solution to their current problems in an open, honest, and trusted environment. And, you know, the power of working in a team like that is just phenomenal. So for Mentor, as, you know, similar to Ducere, you know, great quality material, great projects, good high quality people, caliber people, where you're challenged and you're developed. But all that is predicated on good support, a good program, good support, and good outcomes. At the end of the day, each student, every one of you, has a particular goal and outcome that you want to achieve. And if you can create an innovative, creative environment where, you know, you can feel that there's an element of trust so that you can actually, you know, develop ideas that you can actually apply in the real world. And look, there's no better exciting opportunity. And it is, it's like being in a grand final. A high performing team is like being in a grand final where everyone just works as a team seamlessly. You're in the flow and you just, you know, actually achieve great results. And that's what we wish for every one of our students in their own personal endeavours.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mark. And look, before we go, Daniel, if you could just give us a quick little insight into one of the global education pathways that we've got available.
Absolutely.
So perhaps for those who aren't necessarily looking at jumping into an MBA, we do have a bachelor pathway available for students as well.
Absolutely, and this is a little different to the Australian program, and it's a truly globally focused learning experience where students from anywhere in the world can enrol in Mentor's Advanced Diploma of Business and receive credit towards their Bachelor of Honours in Applied Business Management with our partner in the University of Wales, the third oldest university in the United Kingdom. And along the way, earn those certificates from our partner in edX. So there's short courses that are embedded along the way, where it might be a short course from Harvard around digital entrepreneurship or something like that, where it enables candidates to put that on their resume or on your LinkedIn profile. But more importantly, the crux of the program is the advanced diploma from Mentor, articulating with credit into a Bachelor with Honours from the University of Wales, all delivered online, again with no exams and real world application of learning.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, look, that brings us to the end of tonight's presentation on the higher education pathways. So, look, if you'd like more information, head on over to mentor.edu.au, go to current students, or student information, I should say, and then education pathways, and you can see a full list of options that are available to you through our education partner, Ducere, and their subsequent universities. So, once again, Mark and Daniel, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, James. Thank you, Mark. We value very much the partnership with Mentor, and I'd leave with one final word, asking people that if they reflect on 2020, do they want that to be the year that everyone wishes they forgot, or the year that they actually made a decision that changed their lives?
Can't say anything that beats that, Daniel. Well done.
Thank you.
James. Thanks, Daniel.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Good on you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Well, there you have it. Mentor Education's higher education pathway partner, Ducere. So, yeah, if you'd like more information, head on over to mentor.edu.au. And as always, take this opportunity to excite your potential. And we look forward to seeing you as a future student very soon. See you later, everybody.
Bye.